Hello, welcome to Purchet. My name is Ronnie, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to create room types on Purchet. This is the third video of the Purchet host mini series where I take you through how to set up your host account and create your first listing on Purchet. Now, in the previous video, I showed you how to fill out the basic details of your property, set up the location details of your property, and then today, I'm going to be showing you how to create room types for your property and then set the rent pricing for your property. So to do that, make sure you're on the listing creation page and then come to the rooms tab. Now if you read what it says over here, it says room types and inventory. Create room types with capacities, pricing, and availability. So if you don't already have a room type, you will to click this add room type button over here. Then that will create our first room type, which is room type number 1. And then over here, you'll be able to fill out the details of that room type for our property. So the first thing over here says room type, which is it a private room or a shared room? A private room basically means only one person owns it and only one person can book it. However, a shared room means that more than one person can book that room. So let's start with a shared room. Now after selecting a shared room, you see that this section over here will pop up where it says room capacity. And if you read the text over here, it says number of people sharing this room. You can also hover on this tooltip and you'll be able to read for shared rooms, specify how many students will share this room. This affects the price per person and helps students understand the living arrangement. Right. So for this shared room, you can choose to set the capacity at 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. So to help you understand these room types and capacity properly, I have this diagram over here, which will make it very easy for us to understand. So in our previous video, we created our Johnson's hostel, and then let's say our hostel has a capacity of 6 rooms. So if we have 6 rooms, we can choose that one of the rooms is a private room, one of the rooms is a shared room of 2 people, one of the rooms is a shared room of 4 people, one of the rooms is a shared room of whatever amounts that we want until all the rooms are occupied. Sometimes too, we can have 2 rooms that are a shared room of 2 people, another 2 rooms that are a shared room of 3 people or 4 people, and then another 2 rooms which are private rooms. So in all, we will have 2 private rooms, 2 rooms of shared 2, and then so forth. So I'm going to show you this diagram on the side over here to help you understand. So if you see this image over here, that means 2 beds. So this image means 2 beds, which will mean if a room has this image in it, it means that the room is a shared room of 2 people. So that's what this image means. So now let's look at this diagram over here to easily understand what I mean. So if I zoom in, our property we said has 6 rooms. So this first image over here is room 1. This second image is room 2. Third image is room 3. Fourth image room 4. Fifth image room 5. Sixth image room 6. Now, if you look at each room, you'll be able to see that they have different amounts of beds in them. And then now let's go through to understand what that means. So over here we said room 1 has what? 2 beds, meaning that the number of room occupants in room 1 is what? 2. So that's why we have this line over here, which is 2. And also we said room 2 also has 2 beds. So the number of occupants in room 2 is also 2. Now if you look at the top over here, we have this axis which says number of similar rooms. So since we have room 1 and room 2 both having an occupant limit of 2, that means we have 2 rooms of occupants 2. So that's what this means. We have 2 rooms of similar room occupants. That's what this means. Now if you come here to room 3, you see that we have 4 beds over here, meaning room 3 has a capacity of occupants 4. So number of occupants that go into room 3 are 4. And then room 4 also the same. So number of occupants that go into room 4 are 4. And the number of occupants that go into room 5 are 4. So over here you can see we have room 3, 4, 5. So 3 rooms that have occupants of 4. So we have number of similar rooms. So these 3 rooms are similar rooms that have occupants 4. And then we come down here and we see room 6. Room 6 has an occupancy of 6, meaning the number of people that occupy room 6 are 6 people. So we have 6 beds in room 6. Now we don't have any more rooms that have occupants of 6, meaning the number of similar rooms is just 1. So what that tells us is that we have 26 total beds in our property, which is shared amongst these 6 rooms. We have our first 2 similar rooms that only occupy 2 people, our next 3 similar rooms that only occupy 4 people each, and then our last room that takes 6 people. So in total, we have 3 room types because this is the first room type, which is the rooms that take 2 people, and we have another room type, which is the rooms that take 4 people, and then another room type, which is the room that takes 6 people. So in total, we have 3 room types. So that's basically basically what this room types over here is helping us to achieve. We are trying to create the different room types for our property here on Purchet. So we first said we have a shared room of capacity 2 people. So I'll just change the number over here to 2. Right. So our first room type, which is a shared room, has a capacity of 2, meaning only 2 people go into that room. Now, what is very useful on Purchet is also that you'll be able to select which gender is allowed to book that room. So if you click the drop down, you'll be able to see that you can select male room or female room. Now for this example, we are going to set all our rooms to female just so we can move quickly through it. So our first shared room type is a room capacity of 2, and then the next tab that shows up is where you set the price that each room occupant will be paying. So you can see over here it says price per month. Since we earlier set our pricing structure to charge monthly, you will see that it has reflected over here and we see price per month. However, if you had set it to yearly, annually, or per semester, it would have said price per semester, price per year, or price per whatever pricing structure that you set. So if you hover over the tooltip, it says set the rental price for this room type. For shared rooms, this is typically the price per person. Make sure your pricing is competitive with similar properties in the area. Right, so that's the tooltip over here for the price per person of this shared room. So for this example, I'm just going to put 100. Now of course this will not be the actual price that you charge your customers, but this is just a demo, so I'm just going to put 100 over here, meaning that room type 1, which is a shared room of 2 people, is going to be making me 200 Ghana cedis because we'll be taking 100 cedis from each of these people. Actually, let's make it 1,000 just so the numbers reflect better. So we'll be making 2,000 from room type 1 because it has a capacity of 2, and we are charging each of them 1,000 Ghana cedis. Now if you come down here, you'll be able to see it says bedrooms, and then it asks you number of bedrooms. So for one room, you may have multiple bedrooms in that room. Let's say if it's a self-contained, you may have 2 rooms and then a hall with a kitchen or whatsoever. So if there are multiple bedrooms for that room type, you may choose to set multiple bedrooms. But if the 2 occupants are all sleeping in one room with different beds, then you can just leave the bedrooms as one. So for example, if I have a room that has 2 bedrooms, a hall, and then a kitchen, then I'll set my bedrooms limit to 2, meaning each of my occupants of room type 1 have their own bedroom. But if both of them share the same bedroom, then I'll just leave it as 1. So for this example, we can just leave it as 1. Now the next field is asking you the amount of bathrooms that room type 1 has. Now the example that I gave where I said 2 separate bedrooms, 1 hall, and then a kitchen, you may have that the 2 bedrooms all have their bathroom, which means that room type 1 will have 2 bathrooms. But let's say that room has only 1 bedroom and then 1 bathroom, then you just leave the bathroom as 1. So for this example, we will leave bedroom 1, bathroom 1, and then we move on to the next field. Right, now this is a very important part that you shouldn't miss because this reflects what I was describing earlier with my diagram over here. So if you look over here, it says quantity, and then it says number of rooms of this type. So meaning how many of this room do you have that are similar? So if you look on the tooltip, it says how many identical rooms of this type do you have? Example, if you have 3 separate shared rooms, each which sleeps 2 people, then enter 3. So in our example over here, we have 2 rooms that sleep 2 people. So our number of occupants for these rooms were 2, and then we have 2 similar of them. So 1, 2. So these 2 similar rooms, these are 2 similar rooms of occupants 2. That means that our quantity for a room that sleeps 2 people is 2. So we'll come to our property over here, and then quantity we'll put in 2, and that will make our available beds be automatically counted as 4, because if we have 2 rooms that both sleep 2 tenants, then that makes 4 available beds for this room type. Now for example, maybe one of the spaces have already been occupied. Let's say you've already booked out one of the beds to someone else, then you can choose to reduce it to, let's say, 3, meaning one of the room type 1s has now reduced capacity by 1 bed. But however, if nobody has rented any of the rooms, then you can leave it as the max as 4. So you can see that if you try to go above 4, it will not allow you because you've already said you have 2 of these room types, and then each of them only takes 2 people, which is why you'll not be allowed to go beyond 4 because you can only have 4 beds. But then you can reduce it to 3 beds. That's if you've already booked out 1, or 2. That's if you've already booked out 2 of them. So that's how you control your first room type. Now here are some additional things that you can add for each specific room. Now this is not the description or amenities for the whole property, but rather for the specific room type that you just created. So let's say this shared room of 2 people has its own amenities that you give it. Maybe it is the only room that has its own kitchen. You can select kitchen, or it has a TV, or it has air condition, or it has a balcony, it has a washing machine in that room. You can check all of that here, and you can also give a nice description of that room itself. So that room type, you can give its description. You can also give what amenities it has. But if it has another amenity that hasn't been listed here, then you can type it here into this bar over here. Whether it has a study desk room or a private bathroom or something like that, you can add all of that over here and click the add button. Make sure to separate them by commas. So just like that, we are done with our first room type 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and create our other room types so that we can see how it will look. Great. So I just went ahead and filled out the details of the other room types. So the first room type, which I did with you, which was the shared room of 2 people, and we have 2 of them. Now we have our second room type, which is a shared room of 4 people, and then our third room type, which is a shared room of 6 people. So let's look at the details of the second room type. So just like we did for the first room type, it is a shared room. So you select shared room. The room capacity, it takes 4 people per room. So we set room capacity as 4. The gender, we set is female. Now the rent cost per person in this shared room of 4 is 500. So I just put out 500 over here. The number of bedrooms in this room is just 1. And then over here, I said that the number of bathrooms is 2. So I entered 2. And then we come over here to the quantity. So if you remember from my diagram, we have 3 room types where the occupants are 4. So meaning we have a quantity of 3. So over here, the quantity, I just put 3. And then that automatically calculates that we have 12 beds for rooms that has an occupancy of 4. And then we put our description and then select the amenities for that room. Then we come over here to the third room type, which is also a shared room of 6 people. So this room has a capacity of 6. Gender here, the price per person per month of that room, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms. And then since from our diagram, I said we only have 1 of these room types, I just put 1. And then that gives us an available bed of 6, meaning only 6 beds are available for this room type. We put our description, we select our amenities, and then that's it. So just like that, we now have all our room types set up, and now when tenants come onto our listing, they'll be able to select which room type that they want, whether they want a shared room of 2 people, 4 people, or 6 people, and each of them shows the price that they charge for each of them. You'll be able to see a description and amenities that come with that room. So right over there you have it. We have our room types set up. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, and then in our next video, I'm going to be showing you how to control who has access to booking your property. So that's what we're going to be talking about in our next video. So click on the video on your screen right now and let's jump right into it.